The chamber was bigger than anything Kate Miller had ever seen. It stretched out in every direction like a stadium built for giants. Thousands of seats rose up from the central floor in curved rows, and in those seats sat creatures that looked nothing like her. Some had too many eyes. Some had no eyes at all. Some floated in tanks of strange liquid. Others glowed with soft light from within their bodies. Kate stood at the center of it all, wearing her best diplomatic suit and trying very hard not to look nervous. She was the first human to ever stand before the Galactic Council. Behind her stood 3 other members of her team. Commander Ben Harris watched the alien delegates with sharp military eyes. Dr. Amy Lawrence held a tablet full of data about Earth. Lieutenant Danny Cole kept his hand near his sidearm, though he had been told many times that weapons would not help here. The High Arbiter floated down from a platform above. Its body was made of crystal, with light moving through it like blood through veins. When it spoke, the words came not from a mouth but from vibrations in the air itself. "We welcome the representatives of humanity," the Arbiter said. "I am Zielveth, High Arbiter of this council. You stand before 47 civilizations that have achieved peace among the stars. Today, we will determine if your species is ready to join us." Kate bowed her head slightly. "Thank you, High Arbiter. Humanity is honored to be here." The questioning began simply enough. How large was their population? 8 billion. Kate answered. What was their primary form of government? Many forms, she explained. Though they were working toward unity. What technologies had they developed? Space travel, nuclear energy, digital networks, medical advances. The council members seemed unimpressed. A slug-like creature from a water world yawned with 3 mouths. A being made of living shadow whispered something to its neighbor. Kate got the feeling that humanity was just another young species, one of many they had seen before. Then the questions changed. A tall insectoid delegate rose from its seat. Its voice clicked and buzzed. But the translation device in Kate's ear made the words clear. We must assess your biological resilience. This is standard for all new species. Kate nodded. Of course. Ask anything you need to know. The insectoid looked at its own notes. How many extinction-level events has your homeworld experienced? Kate paused. She looked back at Amy, who shrugged. She pulled out her datapad and scrolled through the files they had prepared. Earth history. Geological records. Mass extinction data. She looked up at the insectoid with a small frown. I'm sorry. Could you clarify something for me? Clarify? The delegate asked. Yes. Do you mean this week, or total? The chamber went quiet. Not just quiet. Silent. The kind of silence that happens when everyone stops breathing at the same time. Kate looked around, confused. The glowing beings had stopped glowing. The shadow creature had frozen in place. Even the slug thing had closed all 3 of its mouths. High Arbiter Zielveth drifted closer. The light inside its crystal body flickered in a way Kate had never seen before. Ambassador Miller. Please repeat what you just said. Kate glanced at Ben, who looked equally confused. She turned back to the Arbiter. I asked if you meant recent extinction events, or the total number throughout Earth's history. The answer is different depending on which one you want. A murmur spread through the chamber. It grew louder. Delegates began talking to each other in dozens of languages. Some of them pointed at the humans. Others pulled up displays and began searching through data. This is unprecedented, someone said. Check the translation matrix, another voice demanded. The translation is correct. A mechanical voice confirmed. The human is asking for clarification between recent and historical extinction events. This implies multiple events in both categories. The insectoid delegate sat down heavily, its wings folded tight against its back. How many? Total? Kate looked at her datapad again. Well, there have been 5 major mass extinctions that we know of. The worst one killed about 90% of all life on the planet, but there have also been dozens of smaller events. Ice ages, volcanic winters, asteroid impacts, sudden climate shifts. And that's just the natural disasters. Amy stepped forward to help. If we include near-extinction events for humanity specifically, the list gets longer. Supervolcano eruptions that reduced our population to a few thousand. Plagues that killed huge portions of our species. We've come close to wiping ourselves out a few times too. Ben cleared his throat. There was a period of about 40 years where we had enough nuclear weapons pointed at each other to destroy all life on the planet several times over. We almost used them more than once. The council chamber erupted into chaos. Delegates shouted over each other. Some demanded that the humans be removed from the chamber. Others called for immediate investigation of Earth. A few simply sat in stunned silence, their alien faces showing expressions that even Kate could recognize as shock. High Arbiter Zilveth raised one crystalline limb, and slowly the chamber fell quiet again. Ambassador Miller, the Arbiter said, its voice carefully controlled. You are telling us that your species has survived multiple extinction-level events. Events that would have ended any other civilization. And you speak of this as if it were normal. Kate thought about it for a moment. She thought about all the history lessons she had sat through as a child. All the documentaries about dinosaurs and ice ages and ancient disasters. To her, it was just history, just the story of how Earth had become what it was. I suppose we do, she said. It is normal for us. It's just how our planet works. The Arbiter's light flickered again. Kate was starting to think that meant something like fear. Your planet, Zilveth said slowly, is not normal. We need to know more about this world you come from. Everything you can tell us. Kate looked at her team. Ben nodded. Amy began pulling up more files. Danny's hand had moved away from his weapon, replaced by a look of confusion. Where would you like us to start? Kate asked. The Arbiter's crystal body made a sound like wind chimes in a storm. Start from the beginning, and do not leave anything out. Kate took a deep breath. This was going to be a long day. The council chamber had grown quiet, but it was not a peaceful quiet. It was the kind of quiet that comes before a storm. Every alien eye, sensor, and detection organ was fixed on the 4 humans standing at the center of the room. Kate Miller stood with her hands clasped in front of her, trying to look calm. Behind her, Dr. Amy Lawrence was pulling up files on her tablet as fast as she could. Commander Ben Harris stood with his arms crossed, watching the alien delegates the way a soldier watches an enemy he does not yet understand. Lieutenant Danny Cole had given up on looking tough, and was now just looking confused. A new figure rose from the seats above. This one was different from the others. Its body was soft and rounded, covered in skin that glowed with gentle blue light. As it moved, patterns of color shifted across its surface, like emotions made visible. I am Senior Xenobiologist Tevran of the Serene Collective, the creature said. Its voice was soft and musical. I study life forms across the galaxy. I must ask you to explain further. I believe there has been an error in translation. Kate shook her head. There is no error. What would you like me to explain? Tevran's skin flickered with pale yellow. Kate guessed that meant confusion. You said your world has experienced 5 major extinction events. Events that killed most life on your planet. This cannot be correct. Amy stepped forward, holding up her tablet. It is correct. Would you like me to list them? The xenobiologist made a gesture that seemed to mean yes. Amy began to read from her files. The first major extinction happened about 440 million years ago. We call it the Ordovician extinction. It killed about 85% of all species on Earth. The cause was probably a sudden ice age combined with changes in the ocean. Murmurs spread through the chamber. The second was the Devonian extinction. About 370 million years ago, around 75% of species died. The cause is not entirely clear. It may have been asteroid impacts, volcanic activity, or changes in the climate. The murmurs grew louder. The third was the Permian extinction, about 250 million years ago. This was the worst one. It killed approximately 90 to 96% of all species. We call it the Great Dying. It was caused by massive volcanic eruptions that changed the entire atmosphere. Tevran's skin had turned a deep purple. Other delegates were making sounds of distress in their own languages. The fourth was the Triassic extinction. about 200 million years ago. It killed about 70 to 75% of species. This one may have been caused by volcanic activity and climate change. Amy paused and looked up at the silent chamber. The fifth was the Cretaceous extinction, about 66 million years ago. This one killed the dinosaurs. A large asteroid hit our planet and caused a global catastrophe. About 75% of all species died. The chamber was completely still. Tevran's glow had faded almost entirely. And these, the xenobiologist said slowly, are just the major events. Yes, Amy confirmed. There were many smaller extinction events between these. Ice ages that lasted thousands of years. Volcanic winters that blocked out the sun. Periods when the oceans became too acidic for most life. Changes in atmosphere that poisoned entire ecosystems. Ben Harris stepped forward. And that's just the natural stuff. That's before you count what we've done to ourselves. High Arbiter Zilveth floated closer. What do you mean? Commander? Ben's face was hard to read. Humans have been around for about 300,000 years. In that time, we've faced our own near-extinction events. About 70,000 years ago, a supervolcano erupted and nearly wiped us out. Our population dropped to maybe 10,000 individuals. We almost didn't make it. Kate nodded. We've also had plagues that killed millions of people. Wars that destroyed entire civilizations. There was a period in the last century where we built weapons powerful enough to destroy all life on Earth multiple times over. We came close to using them more than once. Danny Cole finally spoke up. His voice was casual, almost bored. There was this one time in the 1960s when a Russian submarine officer had to decide whether to launch nuclear missiles. If he had, it probably would have started a war that ended everything. He decided not to. So here we are. A delegate from the far side of the chamber stood up. It was a tall, thin creature with silver skin and 4 arms. You are telling us that your species nearly destroyed itself with weapons of mass destruction. And this was recent? About 60 years ago, Kate said. We've had a few close calls since then, too. The silver creature sat back down without saying another word. Tevran's bioluminescent skin was now cycling through colors rapidly, as if it could not decide what emotion to show. How did you survive all of this? Any one of these events would have ended most species we have encountered. How are you still here? Kate thought about the question. It was a good question. Humans had been through so much. They had been frozen, burned, starved, poisoned, and nearly blown up. They had fought each other, fought nature, and fought against the very planet they lived on. And yet here they were, standing in front of aliens and talking about space travel. I don't know if I have a good answer, she admitted. We're adaptable. I suppose. When things get bad, we find ways to survive. When the climate changes, we move, or we build shelter. When food becomes scarce, we find new sources. When disease spreads, we develop medicine. We don't give up easily. When Nexter, when the Sumper for, when the Sen sent you, when the Sen sent you, when the 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 sent. Ben nodded. Stubbornness. That's what it is. Humans are too stubborn to die when we're supposed to. Tevran stared at them with large, dark eyes. Your species survived a 96% extinction event. You survived asteroid impacts. You survived weapons capable of ending all life. And your explanation is that you are stubborn? Danny shrugged. Pretty much, yeah. The xenobiologist turned to the High Arbiter. Its skin had settled into a deep blue that Kate suspected meant something like awe or fear. Arbiter, I have studied life forms across the galaxy for over 300 cycles. I have never encountered anything like this. These beings come from a world that should not support intelligent life. They have survived events that would have ended any other civilization. They speak of near-total extinction, as if it were simply an inconvenience. Zilveth's crystal body chimed softly. What is your recommendation, xenobiologist? Tevran's glow intensified. I recommend we learn everything we can about their world. If they have truly survived all of this, we need to understand how. And we need to understand what kind of species could possibly evolve under such conditions. The High Arbiter turned back to the humans. Light moved through its body in complex patterns. Ambassador Miller, we require a full briefing on your homeworld. Its geology, its climate, its ecosystems, everything. Do you have someone who can provide this information? Kate looked at Amy, who nodded eagerly. The scientist's eyes were bright with excitement. She had spent her whole career studying Earth. Now she would get to explain it to an audience of alien civilizations. Dr. Lawrence can provide whatever you need, Kate said. Amy stepped forward, her tablet ready. Where would you like me to begin? Tevran answered before the Arbiter could speak. Begin with the basic conditions. The structure of your world. The forces that shape it. Amy smiled. All right then, let's talk about plate tectonics. Somewhere in the chamber, a delegate made a sound that the translation device could not identify. It might have been a gasp. It might have been a scream. Amy didn't notice. She was already pulling up her first diagram. Dr. Amy Lawrence stood at the center of the chamber with a holographic display floating in front of her. The display showed a blue and green planet spinning slowly in the void of space. Earth. Home. To Amy, it was the most beautiful thing in the universe. To the aliens watching from their seats, it was quickly becoming the most terrifying. This is Earth, Amy began. It's the third planet from our sun. It has one large moon, which creates strong tidal forces on our oceans. The planet rotates on a tilted axis, which causes extreme seasonal variations across different regions. A delegate from the left side of the chamber raised what might have been a hand. How extreme are these variations? Amy checked her notes. In some regions, temperatures can range from -40 degrees to +40 degrees Celsius throughout a single year. Some areas experience almost total darkness for months at a time, while others have constant daylight. Several delegates made sounds of distress. Tevran's skin had turned a shade of gray that Amy had not seen before. The surface of Earth is divided into large sections called tectonic plates, Amy continued. She tapped her tablet, and the hologram changed to show the plate boundaries. These plates float on a layer of molten rock beneath the surface. They move slowly, but they are always moving. Moving? Asked a delegate with a metallic body. The surface of your planet moves? Yes. The plates push against each other, pull apart, and slide past each other. This causes earthquakes, which are sudden, violent shakings of the ground. Some earthquakes are small. Others can destroy entire cities in seconds. Amy changed the display again. Now it showed volcanic activity. Where the plates meet, we also have volcanoes. These are openings in the planet's surface where molten rock, toxic gases, and ash can erupt with tremendous force. Some volcanic eruptions have been powerful enough to change the global climate for years. The chamber had grown very quiet. Ambassador Kate Miller watched the alien delegates with growing concern. Many of them looked sick, or afraid, or both. Some had stopped looking at the display entirely, but Amy was not finished. Earth also has a very active atmosphere, she said. We have hurricanes, which are massive, rotating storms that can be hundreds of kilometers wide. We have tornadoes, which are smaller but even more violent spinning winds that can destroy everything in their path. We have lightning, which is electricity that strikes from the sky with enough force to kill instantly. A small furry delegate spoke up from the middle rows. Does your atmosphere attack you often? Amy considered this. Constantly, actually. There is almost always a major storm happening somewhere on the planet. And our weather can change very quickly. A clear day can become a deadly storm in a matter of hours. High Arbiter Zilveth floated forward. The lights inside its crystal body were flickering in rapid patterns. Dr. Lawrence, you are describing conditions that we would classify as extreme hazards. These are not normal features of life-bearing worlds. They're normal for Earth, Amy said with a small shrug. They are not normal, Tevran said firmly. The xenobiologist's glow had returned, though it was now a deep red. I have studied over 2,000 life-bearing worlds in my career. What you are describing is classified as a Class 1-2 environment. The most dangerous category we have. Kate stepped forward. What does that mean? Exactly? A new voice answered from the upper seats. It was deep and rough, like stones grinding together. The speaker was a massive creature, covered in thick armor plates. It rose to its full height, towering over the delegates around it. I am Morshan, of the Velvet Nebula Consortium, the creature said. I command the training programs for our elite warriors. The strongest soldiers in our civilization. Kate nodded politely. An honor to meet you, Commander. Morshan made a sound that might have been a laugh. You do not understand. Class 1-2 worlds are what we use for survival training. We send our toughest warriors to such places to test their limits. The dropout rate is 70%. 70% fail? Kate asked. 70% die, Morshan corrected. These are worlds with extreme conditions. Violent weather. Unstable geology. Dangerous environments. We use them because only the strongest can survive. The warrior paused. Your homeworld would qualify as one of these training grounds. Lieutenant Danny Cole whistled softly. So you're saying Earth is basically a military obstacle course? I am saying Earth is a death world, Morshan replied. And you evolved there? Naturally. The chamber exploded into noise. Delegates shouted over each other. Some demanded more information. Others called for the humans to be quarantined. A few seemed to be arguing about whether the humans were dangerous or simply impossible. Amy waited for the noise to die down before continuing. I haven't even talked about the biological hazards yet. Tevron's skin flickered. There is more? Much more. Earth is filled with predators. Large animals with sharp teeth and claws that hunt and kill other animals for food. Some hunt in packs using complex strategies. Some ambush their prey from hiding. Some can run faster than most vehicles. Amy changed the display to show various Earth predators: lions, tigers, bears, wolves, sharks. The aliens stared at the images with expressions of horror. We also have venomous creatures. Snakes that can kill with a single bite. Spiders with poison that dissolves flesh. Jellyfish with stinging tentacles. Scorpions. Centipedes. Certain frogs. Thousands of species that can hurt or kill with chemical weapons built into their bodies. She paused to let this sink in. And then there are the microscopic threats. Bacteria that cause disease. Viruses that spread from person to person. Parasites that live inside other creatures and slowly consume them from within. A delegate near the front made a gagging sound. Several others had stopped looking at the display entirely. Humans have spent most of our history fighting against these threats, Amy continued. We were prey before we became predators. We evolved, surrounded by things that wanted to eat us, poison us, or infect us. We learned to fight back. Commander Ben Harris nodded. That's why we developed weapons so early. We needed them just to survive, Kate added. It's also why we developed medicine, agriculture, and technology. Every advancement we made was because something on our planet was trying to kill us. Morshan stood silent for a long moment. The armored warrior's eyes, small and dark against its massive head, studied the humans with new intensity. You did not just survive a death world, Morshan said finally. You conquered it. You became the apex predators of a Class 1-2 planet. Danny grinned. When you put it that way, it sounds pretty impressive. It is terrifying, Morshan replied. My warriors trained for years to survive on such worlds. Your entire species evolved there. Every human alive is a survivor of conditions that would kill most beings in the galaxy. High Arbiter Zilveth floated between the humans and the assembly. The crystal being's lights had stopped flickering. They now pulsed slowly, rhythmically, like a heartbeat. We must take a recess, the Arbiter announced. The Council needs time to process this information. Kate nodded. Of course, we'll be available whenever you're ready to continue. As the delegates began to file out of the chamber, Kate turned to her team. Ben looked thoughtful. Amy was still reviewing her notes, eager to share more. Danny was grinning like a child who had just learned something amazing about himself. "I think we broke them," Danny said quietly. Kate watched the aliens leave. Many of them glanced back at the humans with expressions she could not fully read. Fear. Certainly. But also something else. Something that might have been respect. "Maybe," she said. "But I don't think we're done yet. They're going to want to know more." Amy looked up from her tablet. "I have plenty more to tell them." Kate smiled despite herself. "I'm sure you do." The recess lasted 3 hours. When the council reconvened, the atmosphere in the chamber had changed. Before, the alien delegates had looked at the humans with mild curiosity or bored indifference. Now they watched with the careful attention of scientists studying something dangerous. Captain Jack Peters stood at the center of the floor this time. Kate had asked him to take the lead for this session. Jack was a career military officer. But more importantly, he was a born storyteller. He knew how to explain things in ways that stuck with people. High Arbiter Zilveth opened the session with a direct question. "Captain Peters, we have learned about the dangers of your world. Now we wish to understand how your species has managed to not only survive, but thrive under such conditions. Please explain." Jack nodded and clasped his hands behind his back. "I'll do my best, High Arbiter. I think the easiest way to understand humans is to understand that we're built to solve problems. Every challenge you've heard about, the predators, the disasters, the diseases, we've found ways to overcome them." He began to pace slowly as he spoke. "Let's start with the basics. Humans can survive in almost any environment on our planet. We live in deserts where temperatures reach 50 degrees Celsius. We live in frozen regions where temperatures drop to -50. We live in rainforests, grasslands, mountains, islands, and coastlines. No other large animal on Earth has spread to so many different environments." Tevran, the xenobiologist, raised a limb. "How is this possible? Surely your bodies are adapted to specific conditions." Jack smiled. "That's the thing. We're not specialists. We're generalists. Our bodies are okay at a lot of things, but not great at any one thing. We're not the fastest runners. We're not the strongest fighters. We don't have claws or fangs or thick fur. But we have something better. We adapt." He tapped his head. "Our greatest advantage is up here. Our brains. We solve problems that other animals can't even understand. When it's too cold, we make fire and clothing. When prey is too fast, we make weapons and traps. When food is too scarce, we plant crops and raise animals. We change our environment to suit us instead of waiting for our bodies to evolve." Navigator Lisa Grant stepped forward to add her thoughts. She was a small woman with short brown hair and quick, intelligent eyes. "We also have this thing called persistence hunting. Most animals on Earth are faster than us in short bursts, but humans can run for hours without stopping. We would chase prey until they collapsed from exhaustion. We literally ran our food to death." Several delegates made sounds of discomfort at this. "It's not pretty," Lisa admitted, "but it kept us alive when we were just trying to survive. And that stubbornness, that refusal to stop, it became part of who we are. Humans don't give up. We just don't. It's not in our nature." Jack nodded. "That persistence shows up everywhere in human history. We've faced diseases that killed millions of people. And we kept going. We fought wars that destroyed entire nations. And we rebuilt. Every time something knocks us down, we get back up." A delegate with long, flowing appendages spoke up. "But surely there are limits. Surely some challenges were too great." "You'd think so," Jack said. "But then we started doing things that really should have killed us." He gestured to Dr. Amy Lawrence, who had been waiting for this moment. "Amy, why don't you explain our medical practices?" Amy stepped forward eagerly. "Certainly. So, humans learned early that sometimes bodies break in ways that they can't fix themselves. Our solution was surgery. We cut people open to fix what's wrong inside." The chamber went silent. "We remove damaged organs. We repair broken bones with metal pins. We transplant hearts, livers, and kidneys from one person to another. We have even developed artificial organs to replace ones that fail. A gasping sound came from somewhere in the upper seats. Then there are vaccines, Amy continued. Many diseases are caused by tiny organisms that invade the body. Our immune systems learn to fight these invaders. But sometimes the disease kills us before we can develop protection. So we came up with a solution. We take a weakened or dead version of the disease and put it into our bodies on purpose. Tevron's glow turned a sickly green. You infect yourselves intentionally? Yes. It teaches our immune systems to recognize and fight the real disease without actually getting sick. We've eliminated some of our worst diseases this way, Commander Ben Harris added from behind her. And when infections do take hold, we have antibiotics. Chemicals that kill the invaders inside us. We figured out that certain molds produce substances that destroy bacteria, so we grow those molds, extract the chemicals, and put them in our bodies. You put mold inside yourselves, a delegate repeated, as if hoping they had misheard. It works, Ben said simply. Jack took over again. But the really impressive stuff is cancer treatment. Cancer is when our own cells start growing out of control, destroying our bodies from inside. Our solution? Poison ourselves. The chamber erupted into confused noise. Jack waited for it to die down. I'm serious. Chemotherapy is when we pump toxic chemicals into our bodies. The chemicals kill cells that grow quickly. Cancer cells grow fast, so the poison kills them. Of course, it also kills other fast-growing cells, so patients lose their hair and get very sick. But the idea is to kill the cancer just slightly faster than we kill ourselves. He paused to let this sink in. We also use radiation. We point beams of energy at tumors to destroy them. The same kind of energy that can cause cancer can also cure it, if we aim it right. High Arbiter Zilveth made a sound like wind chimes in a storm. You poison and irradiate yourselves as medical treatment. When necessary, Amy confirmed. And it often works. 1-0 and 1-0 Amy. Lisa Grant decided to add one more detail. We also strap ourselves to controlled explosions and ride them into space. The navigator smiled at the stunned silence that followed. Our rockets work by igniting huge amounts of fuel and directing the explosion downward. The force pushes the rocket up. We sit on top of this explosion in a tiny metal container and let it throw us off the planet. She shrugged. We do it for science. Sometimes we do it just to see what's up there. Some people pay money to do it for fun. A delegate near the front fainted. 2 others rushed to help it. Jack watched this with a calm expression. I think you're starting to understand what humans are like. We don't just survive threats, we run toward them. We climb the highest mountains because they're there. We dive to the bottom of the ocean to see what lives in the dark. We split atoms and walked on our moon within the same century. Ben crossed his arms. When something scares us, we study it. We figure out how it works. Then we either destroy it or make it useful. Fear is just a problem to solve. Kate stepped forward to join her team. I know this must sound strange to you, maybe even insane, but this is who we are. We're curious, stubborn, and we refuse to accept limits. Every obstacle is just something we haven't overcome yet. The Arbiter floated in silence for a long moment. The light inside its crystal body moved in slow, thoughtful patterns. We have encountered many species in our time among the stars, Zilveth finally said. Some were peaceful, some were aggressive, some were wise, and some were foolish. But I have never encountered a species quite like yours. The Arbiter turned to address the full council. These beings evolved on a world that should have killed them. They survived through stubbornness, creativity, and an absolute refusal to accept death. They poison themselves to cure disease. They ride explosions into the void. They face their fears not with caution but with curiosity. Zilveth's light pulsed brightly. The question before this council is no longer whether humans are ready to join us. The question is whether we are ready for them. The chamber fell into murmured discussion. Kate looked at her team. Jack gave a small nod. Lisa grinned. Ben remained stoic, but there was a hint of pride in his eyes. Danny, standing at the back, gave a thumbs up. Whatever came next, Kate thought. Humanity had made an impression. Whether that was a good thing or not remained to be seen. The vote took 2 days. Kate Miller spent most of that time in the quarters assigned to the human delegation, a suite of rooms in a tower overlooking the council city. The rooms were comfortable but clearly designed for beings very different from humans. The beds were too soft. The lighting changed colors at random intervals. The food dispensers kept offering things that looked like purple gelatin and smelled like burned copper. On the evening of the first day, Ben Harris brought news. The council is split. Some factions want to accept us immediately. Others want to quarantine Earth and study us from a distance. A few are suggesting we might be some kind of threat. Kate nodded slowly. What kind of threat? The dangerous kind, apparently. Ben sat down on one of the strange chairs. Word has spread beyond the council. Other species are asking questions about us. Some are curious. Some are scared. Danny Cole was lounging on a couch that seemed designed for a creature with no bones. I don't get it. We came here to make friends. Why are they acting like we're going to attack them? Amy Lawrence looked up from her tablet. She had been reading translated alien texts for hours, trying to understand galactic history. I think I might know why. Most species here evolved on stable worlds. Safe worlds. Their biggest challenges were things like resource management and social conflict. She set down her tablet. We're different. We evolved fighting for survival every single day. To them, we're like finding a species that grew up in a war zone. They don't know what we might do. Kate walked to the window and looked out at the alien city below. Towers of impossible shapes stretched toward a purple sky. Vehicles that looked more like living creatures than machines moved through the air. It was beautiful and strange and nothing like home. We'll just have to show them who we really are, she said quietly, and hope that's enough. On the second day, they were summoned back to the council chamber. The room was packed, every seat was filled, and more delegates stood along the walls. Holographic displays showed the proceedings to billions of beings across the galaxy. This was the moment that would define humanity's place among the stars. High Arbiter Zylveth floated to the center of the chamber. The crystal being's light was steady and strong. The Galactic Council has reached a decision regarding the species known as humanity, the Arbiter announced. The vote was not unanimous, but a clear majority has been achieved. Kate held her breath. Behind her, she could feel her team standing tense and ready. Humanity is hereby granted provisional membership in the Galactic Council. A wave of sound moved through the chamber. Some delegates cheered, others grumbled. A few remained completely silent, watching the humans with unreadable expressions. Provisional membership, Zylveth continued, means that humans will have observer status for a period of 100 cycles. During this time, you will have access to galactic trade routes, communication networks, and diplomatic channels. However, you will not have voting rights, and your activities will be monitored. Kate stepped forward. We accept these terms, High Arbiter. Thank you for this opportunity. The Arbiter's light flickered in a pattern Kate had come to recognize as something like acknowledgement. There is more, Ambassador. Kate waited. During our deliberations, concerns were raised about human nature. Your resilience is remarkable. Your adaptability is unmatched, but some council members questioned whether such traits might make you dangerous. The chamber grew quiet. However, other arguments were made in your favor. Your species has faced extinction many times and has always chosen to rebuild rather than destroy. You have weapons capable of ending all life on your world. Yet you have never used them in full-scale war. When faced with global challenges, you find ways to cooperate despite your differences. Zylveth moved closer to the human delegation. We have concluded that humanity is not inherently dangerous. You are simply forged by circumstances that would have destroyed any other species, and that makes you valuable. Kate frowned slightly. Valuable, how? The Arbiter paused. The lights within its crystalline body dimmed, and when it spoke again, its voice was quieter. Ambassador, what I am about to tell you is known only to the elder races of this council. It is information we share rarely, and never lightly. The chamber fell absolutely silent. Even the delegates who had been whispering among themselves stopped to listen. The galaxy is not as peaceful as it appears, Zilveth said. At the edge of known space, there is a darkness, an ancient threat that has destroyed civilizations before, and will do so again. It moves slowly, but it moves always. In time, it will reach the worlds we call home. Kate felt a chill run down her spine. What kind of threat? We do not fully understand it. We know only that it has ended countless species over millions of years. Every great civilization that rose before us eventually fell to it. We have survived only because we have stayed hidden, stayed quiet, stayed safe. The Arbiter's light intensified. But hiding cannot last forever. Eventually, we will need to face this darkness, and when we do, we will need species that know how to survive against impossible odds. Kate understood now. The Council wasn't accepting humanity out of kindness. They were accepting humanity because they might need them. You want us to fight for you, she said. We want you to fight with us, Zilveth corrected. Your species has faced extinction again and again and refused to die. You have conquered a death world. You have turned poison into medicine and explosions into transportation. You are afraid of nothing because you have already survived everything. The Arbiter floated back to address the full chamber. Humanity may be young among the stars, but they bring something that no other species can offer. They bring hope that even the darkest threat can be overcome. Kate looked at her team. Ben's expression was serious but determined. Amy's eyes were wide with a mixture of fear and excitement. Lisa stood straight and ready. Jack had a small smile on his face, the smile of someone who had found a new challenge. Danny just looked confused. But Kate knew he would follow wherever the team led. She turned back to the Arbiter. Hi, Arbiter. Humanity accepts our place in this council. If there is a darkness coming, we will stand with you against it. That's what humans do. We face the things that try to destroy us, and we find a way to win. A murmur of approval spread through the chamber. Even some of the delegates who had opposed human membership seemed to relax slightly. After the formal session ended, Zilveth approached Kate privately. They stood in a small alcove away from the crowds, looking out over the council city. Your people frighten us, Ambassador, the Arbiter admitted. Its voice was softer now, almost gentle. You frighten us because you represent everything we are not. We built our civilizations on safety and stability. You built yours on chaos and survival. Kate nodded. I understand. But I believe that is precisely why the galaxy needs you. The Arbiter's light pulsed warmly. We have grown comfortable. We have forgotten what it means to fight for existence. Your species has never forgotten. You carry that fire within you. Kate smiled. It was a genuine smile. But there was something in it that made even the ancient crystal being hesitate. Don't worry, High Arbiter, Kate said. We only bite when provoked. She paused, watching the alien sun set over the foreign horizon. Mostly. Zilveth made a sound that the translation device could not identify. It might have been a laugh. It might have been a shiver. It might have been both. A month later, the human delegation departed for Earth. Their ship carried not just ambassadors but the first trade agreements, technology exchange programs, and diplomatic treaties between humanity and the wider galaxy. As the ship left the council system behind, Kate stood at a window and watched the stars stretch into lines around them. Behind her, Ben was reviewing security protocols. Amy was already diving into the alien scientific data they had been given. Lisa was plotting their course home. Jack was writing a report that would change everything humanity thought they knew about their place in the universe. Danny was raiding the food supplies. They were going home, but home would never be the same. Humanity had spent its entire existence fighting to survive on a world that tried to kill them every day. They had faced extinction and won. They had stared into the void and refused to blink. Now they knew they were not alone in the universe. And they knew that somewhere out there, In the darkness between the stars, something was waiting. Kate smiled at the thought. Let it wait. Let it come. Humanity had been preparing for this fight since the first human ancestor looked up at the night sky and wondered what was out there. They were ready.